Oh, one sec, guys. I need to make a call really quick on my boss. Hey, Anthony, it's Eric. How are you? Great, great. I know we've been struggling, trying to keep all of our staff and crew together, and I was thinking, let's just shut down the entire produce department tomorrow. Let's just take a day off from the store, and I'm thinking we just all go out to Santana Row and have some mimosas. Right? I mean, if it worked for the Sharks, it's obviously it's going to work for us. The boss, the store manager. Well, tell him it's a team building exercise. Rally mimosas for life. You work on it. Bye. If it could work for the Sharks, it could work for us in corporate America. So where the heck did this come from? And that being said, maybe it came from Chicago? We'll find out. Welcome to another episode of Pucknology After Dark. After a stunning 4-0 shutout against the best team in the East, the Montreal Canadiens. We wish we could figure out what this team is like, but we don't know. I am Eric PuckGuy14 on Twitter. Joining me tonight is AJ Strong. Chris JWS is a healthy scratch. AJ, good evening.
How's it going? How you doing?
I'm doing good. We were. It's games like this where we were prepared to go into full rant mode, and all of a sudden we see them not only shut out the Canadiens, but absolutely dominate them and have. I know this comes as a shocker. A full 60-minute effort.
I'll say 58 minutes. There's a couple, but no, this was so old school. I had to bring back out the old school shirt. That's what it felt like tonight. Tonight did not start off good before the puck dropped. Okay, at puck drop. I was seeing reports that the tank was a third full, and half of those people were wearing Canadiens jerseys. Then I'm told that Doug Wilson actually got booed. They showed him on the screen, and then there were shots of people were tweeting out photos of fans going in with bags on their heads. So the night did not start off well. Trade deadline day was interesting to say the least.
Right. It was something else for the day for the Sharks, as they essentially sent 4 players packing in a matter of 3 hours. I mean, where would you want to start with the game tonight, or would you rather go with the trade deadline first?
I think I'd like to hit the game first because
we'll be going on forever with the trade deadline.
Yeah. Wow. Hold up. What's happening? Why did I get all orange all of a sudden?
You revealed your teal and made you.
Is that what it was?
And you got. And now you look like you're in a tanning bed with Doug Wilson.
Oh, am I back now? Okay. That was very odd. Okay. So, anywho, it's amazing what happens when you scratch Hannon, isn't it?
Right.
So anyway, I will say, I have some notes. In the first period, I did think early on they were doing their typical Sharks, kind of trying to be a little fancy. There was a lot of back and forth on the blue line during the first few segments where it's just, like, come on, you're not going to score passing it back and forth on the blue line. Get it down low. And then while they're going point to point, you had guys kind of standing still down low. And then for some reason, after about the 6-minute mark or so, you started to see a little bit of movement. You started to see some energy. And then lo and behold, almost 7 minutes, the new guy Smith, who the hell is this guy? gets an unassisted at about 7 minutes of the first period, and of course, what helped that out was Wingles drawing the hooking penalty, and then you also had, I mean, at least for the Pavelski goal, you have Wingles drawing the hooking penalty, and you have to realize that Montreal now, because this is one of the things that does kind of agitate me a little bit, is when Randy Hahn, and I know it's just the stats they're giving him, but Randy Hahn will come out and say, and right now the Sharks have the 7th power play overall in the league. Come on. Not over the last 10 games. They're probably about 24th over the last 10 games. But I understand it's over the course of the season. But Randy did point out Montreal had given up 1 power play goal over their last 27 chances. They were 96% on the penalty kill, and they gave up 2 tonight. So that was huge.
Real. That is something else.
And I know it comes off, Pavs was on the power play. It came off of basically the end of a 5-on-3, just after they cleaned up the 5-on-3. They only had 14 seconds of it, so what do you do? But during that 5-on-3, did you notice Thornton got kicked out of the circle twice, and Couture came in and lost both faceoffs.
Right.
But meanwhile, in the first period, Thornton was 100%, 3 for 3 in the circle. Couture was 71%. Pams was 80%. So they were getting it done in every facet of the game. And then you had the second period, which it seems like has been what starts the downfall of every game lately. And instead, the Sharks actually kicked it into another gear. They had incredible neutral zone transitions where once it came out into the neutral zone, I mean, it was heartbeats. Bam! They were back in the O zone. They had the shots were 7-0 Sharks through 7 minutes. Montreal had no shots. The best team in the East was held without a shot for 7 minutes in the second. I just come on. And then you take into effect going into tonight, Carey Price was 10-0 over his last 10 road starts. Now, granted, he hasn't, Montreal hasn't won in San Jose since '99, but where did this come from? And they started to wane with about 5 minutes left in the second, but it started turning around, and at that point, Smith had a goal, an assist, is a +2, 2 shots, 4 hits, a block, won 4 of 7 of draws just through 2 periods, and only 11 minutes on the ice. I mean, and if you're wondering why I'm getting all stat heavy, it's because Chris isn't with us, so I'm filling it. And then in the third period, just the notes that I have, Montreal with the weirdest delay of game call ever. I've never seen that where they got, I've never seen that. And then to top it all off, Scott getting the game misconduct for, I guess, being taller than anyone else or something. I'm not really sure what the hell happened there. But
yeah, I didn't understand what something was said or something. It was a 10-minute misconduct, so thankfully that's good. And correct me if I'm wrong, he hasn't had a fight yet, has he?
No, he's had scuffles, but nothing I would call a fight. But the thing that I think is great, it's like, did the refs even, I tweeted out during the game where the Sharks during February had such just horrendous puck luck. Just no bounces would go their way. Today it seemed like every bounce was going their way. Hell, even when Mueller tripped over air, he was still able to make a play. I mean, how does that happen? And then Scott gets tossed, and even that was doing the Sharks a favor. It's like, oh, the refs just tossed our worst player? Dude, good looking out.
I mean, it was one of those games where everything just came together.
Absolutely.
You saw the passion, you saw the drive, you saw the intensity of this team, and I'm not going to call him a genius, and I'm not going to say the mimosas worked at the brunch yesterday, but man, a totally different team, and you finally got the effort that we all know that this team had in them. It also shows, that the team finally woke up and figured out that scratching Scott Hannon, and look how well Irwin and Mueller played. Yes, Mueller had the desperation poke check, which To him, that was a great play for not giving up even when he's belly up.
I I was amazed how well the defense came together tonight. But leading into this game, I was also amazed at the combos tonight. Vlasic back with Braun, Dylan with Mueller, and then the one that, of course, shocked me the most was Burns with Irwin. That was a complete what the fuck moment. But you can't underestimate that, putting Vlasic and Braun back together, they seem to complement each other. And that way it also keeps Burns off of, that top pairing where he has to face the better guys. So I don't know. It almost, because when I found out Burns and Irwin were playing, I'm like, oh great, it's going to be like we have 5 forwards.
Right, because they're both offensive defensemen, and I think they mentioned on the broadcast tonight that Burns is the league leader in defensive giveaways.
Uh-huh.
I mean number 3. And here's my question to you then. I'm surprised that Hannon's not up there, number 1. Number 2, Burns is supposedly the guy that has the most giveaways. Okay, so and Irwin played pretty good. I mean, so maybe half of Tire Fire 2015 isn't exactly the fire part, right?
I don't know. Maybe, I was thinking about that, NBCSN's reported that Burns has the most giveaways in the NHL, which makes me wonder a couple of things. Will Wilson, after this season, finally give up and say, look at these numbers. It's clear that Burns plays better as a forward, and he addresses it in the offseason, or will Wilson's ego not be able to handle being known for trading 3 forwards for 1, essentially, when trading Setaguchi, Coyle, and what ended up to be a first-rounder, which was Zach Phillips, to basically get 1 forward and a second-rounder that Wilson used in a different deal. So,
Right.
I mean, you essentially traded 2 first-rounders. No, wasn't Setaguchi a first-rounder, or was he a second-rounder?
So it was a first-rounder because we moved up to number 8 and passed on Anjay Kopitar to get Setaguchi.
And there's one for the off-season, kids. We'll be doing a draft review.
Oh God, yes, we will.
But Charlie Coyle was also a first, right?
Coyle was also a first. He was
So
the
we
first
traded.
year before that.
Yeah, he traded 3 number 1 picks to get Burns, who, let's be honest, if you're going to give up that much offensive, or if you're going to give up that many picks, you would expect to get essentially a Drew Doughty in return. And instead you got Chewbacca on skates, but he can only play forward. So, we'll see how that gets addressed. That being said, getting back to tonight's game, like I said, to me, I saw an awful lot of puck luck. I mean, just look at what happened where Burns gets gets that 20th save for Stalock. On his 20th, Stalock saved 19. Burns saved the 20th one. Just that kind of luck. You know what? Last month, that it would have completely went the opposite way. So hopefully, the pendulum has swung. The Sharks are going to start getting some bounces. It was, as you all know, one of my favorite things to discuss. It was another non-sellout tonight. Now, granted, place holds 17,562, and they only missed it by about 260 fans. But from what I understand, there were that's paid attendance. That doesn't account for the season ticket holders that didn't show up or couldn't get rid of their tickets. Because believe you me, I was looking on StubHub earlier today, and good seats could be had for $22. So,
Right.
The fans, besides the sellouts, besides showing up with bags on their heads, the fans have let them know. But getting back into the game, the line combos for the most part, at least the top 2 lines were the same as normal. Pabst, Thornton, Carlson, Marlo Couture, Nieto. Third line now, this makeshift with Smith in the middle, with Wings and Hurdle on the edge, And one of the things that I thought was funny when they were discussing the Shepard trade, which we'll get into in a minute, but
Right.
the whole thing about giving that the moving out Shepard will give Hurdle time at the third line center position. I'm going, what the hell was stopping you from putting him there the previous 60 some odd games? Like what, just because
Which
Shepard
was
was
what you tweeted earlier was having, putting Hurdle at center and then Shep at the wing. It makes no sense. Why didn't you do that in the first place? And then, of all things, you acquire Ben Smith, another center, and let's put Hurdle on the wing again.
yeah, exactly. So who knows how they're going to fill this out going forward. I'm wondering if we're going to see another. I mean, I don't understand how we wouldn't see at least one or two call-ups now, especially since we have the space. Because I mean, essentially, we had one scratch tonight, a defenseman. So if any of the top 12 guys go down, what do we do? So you got to have somebody in the pipe. And let's be honest, Scott is not an every game player, so you're going to find somebody to fill that slot. You would probably be more versed on who would come from Worcester than I would, but bottom line is somebody has to get another, or somebody's going to get a look. Somebody's getting on a plane from Boston pretty soon.
Right. I mean, it's a matter of time before somebody does. I would think Tarasov will probably get the call up now that Freddie Hamilton has gone to Colorado, or I guess essentially Lake Erie.
or, or,
Or
or Burns goes back to forward and you play hand, which will never happen. Yeah. Barring an injury. The only way I see that happening at all is if somebody gets injured on the top two lines. That's no one to fill.
Right.
Maybe they make that move. But anyway, like I said, interesting lines, interesting pairings. Chances are, they have to roll with the same thing in Vancouver tomorrow night. And we talked about all these lines in the game story, and we've completely neglected my man, number one star, Alex Stalock. Now, granted, he didn't see a whole lot of rubber tonight, but this is clearly the best team in the East. What he saw, he stopped. He did have to make some key saves in the first period. There were a couple interesting stops here and there, and I don't know. I love Stalock's recovery time. He's more athletic, seems to bounce back. And for all the people that shit on Stalock, a few weeks ago, and he sucks and he's not capable, and well, you know what? This is what happens. This is the kind of performance you can get from Stalock when you see that performance that you got tonight from the defensive pairings, where they were all talking and they were all communicating. And yeah, Burns did have a couple brain farts, but Vlasic and Braun and Dylan and Mueller tonight just really impressed me.
I agree. I think you have those three pairings. Having Vlasic and Braun back together, always a good thing. I think, and surprisingly, Burns and Irwin worked very well, contributing offensively and defensively. It's going to go a long way, and I think if you want to put Bannon on waivers, I mean, you have Tennyson, who McClellan does like, had said in a presser that, he is a bona fide rated defenseman in the NHL, ready to go.
You know what, though?
But granted, it's always nice to have that extra depth, just
absolutely.
in case.
Absolutely. But as one of our tweeters, Bleeding Teal, just pointed out, Brent Burns apparently does not lead the league in giveaways. He actually shares first place. Would you like to know with who?
I'm going to guess PK Subban.
And you would be correct, sir.
Yes! What do I win?
You get to watch tomorrow night's game hassle-free.
Okay.
Not disappointing.
Wow. Yay. Woo!
Actually, maybe I can give you your very own 2014 Sharks tweet up button.
Oh shit! I have a kajillion 2015 tweet up buttons still in my in my freaking room right now. Um, we'll get to that a little bit later because I'm considering trying to make up for the tweet up at the Stadium Series. Um, but Stalock, considering he only had to face 20 shots, looked pretty good, looked pretty solid. You want to have him get into the groove as well for the stretch run, if anything.
Hmm.
I'm not going to say the P word, but we will discuss the standings a little bit later in the show. Um, I mean, we just don't want to get too crazy. Um,
Don't get too nuts.
let's not get cray cray, as I would tell my girlfriend. But we will leave this game aside, and we will go to earlier today of the trade deadline. There was a number of deals made, a number of deals that I think me and Wingles on Twitter, Nikki, both saw at like 5:30 in the morning and went, um, that's something Doug could have done pretty easily, and that was the Jeff Petrie trade from Edmonton to Montreal for a second and a conditional fifth. Um, and there was, I guess he mentioned there were some things mentioned about coming to San Jose, but I guess nothing really materialized. The Sharks did make essentially four moves within the 24 hours prior to the deadline. The first thing was for James Shepard to go to the Rangers um, for a fourth round pick. He was essentially traded for a third round pick a few years ago. So I guess he pretty much got the same thing. Um, and then that same day, yesterday, Ty McGinn was placed on waivers. This morning, he was claimed by Arizona. So you traded away a third rounder for nothing for Ty McGinn. Um,
Which
those
is
risks you take.
well, which is really disappointing because what did we give away for Ty? Wasn't it a third rounder?
Yep, the third rounder.
Okay, so
Um,
I mean, not every pick, like we've said before, not every pick is going to pay off. Show me the general manager whose every pick has paid off. So you roll the dice. Sometimes you hit the point, and sometimes you get craps. So on the
right.
McGinn deal, he got craps. When it comes to the trade deadline, just recounting it, you had McGinn, and we essentially moved three gentlemen today, right? My number's correct, right? It's three?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so we have Kennedy for a conditional seventh rounder to the Islanders. That changes to a third rounder if the Isles win the cup. Okay, stop laughing, people. Stranger things have happened.
Do you
Uh,
believe in miracles? Yes.
it's better than getting nothing. So it'll probably just be a conditional seventh rounder, and that's what it'll stay as. Shepard for a fourth rounder. I don't have a problem with that. We only gave up a third. Well, I shouldn't say only, but we gave up a third to get him. He's aged a couple years. He's had, he's bouncing back from an issue. So him only, you know, you take something used, you use it a little bit. You don't expect to pay it, to sell it for the same amount you bought it for. So drops from a third to a fourth. The one thing that does kind of irk me a little bit is that we're on the hook for $100K of his salary, but you know what? That's tip money for Wilson.
Right.
I'll take that any day. The one that I'm most interested in is Desjardins for Smith and a conditional seventh. I haven't looked into the conditions on yet, but the Sharks are taking back half of Desjardins' $750,000 prorated salary, so that is not going to be a whole lot at all. So I'm not worried about that. It's probably going to be like, I don't know, 40,000 or something.
Yeah, it should be something minimal. I mean, not too much at all.
Yeah.
If anything.
So
Um,
and I liked Desi. I don't feel like he got a real chance. Constantly being juggled. and being attached to anchors like Brown and Scott. But I like the way, when he did have, he obviously had a little bit of chemistry versus Dallas when he was out there with Tierney and Hurdle. Maybe this is a salary relief move for Chicago. Who knows? But obviously, Smith has has taken one game, small sample size, but he made a good impact tonight. And Desi essentially was a fourth rounder for us, and obviously tonight Smith they had on the third line, so it does pump him up a little bit. But the one thing I do want to say about Smith, I loved the way he was positionally tonight, especially in the third period. There were times where Montreal got out on the points, and Smith would just close. He appears to be a much faster skater than Desi, or at the very least, his decision making is much faster. I was very happy with the way I would see Smith run out to the point and force a play, and maybe you get the guy to cough it up, and you've got a breakaway the other way. And speaking of breakaways, we had like 3 tonight in the first half of the game. Where those been all year? That was amazing.
Right. I mean, they used their speed to get a chance. Granted, they didn't score on any,
but you know what?
Let's just take the chances. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Winkles gets his stick pulled up, and Carlson. Well, it wasn't a true breakaway. Couture was the one I was most disappointed in. I would have expected him to finish a little bit better than that. But you know what? You take what you can get. The team looked really good, but for the trades, like I said, that was my whole thing. Kennedy, I'm happy to get rid of him. Shepard, I think it's a good deal. Desi for Smith will remain to be seen. But so far, I'm liking it. But we all know. I forget what you call it. Post-steal syndrome, which all means that Desi's first game in Chicago, he probably has a hat trick. So
right, totally.
But moving on to the comments. So after all the deals are made, after the noon deadline goes by, or if you're the Anaheim Ducks, the 2 p.m. deadline goes by. I still don't understand how that was working, but anyway, they had Wilson spoke with the media, and there was a few. I believe both Kurz and or Ross McKeon have it on their blog, their page, whatever you want to call it. They have articles about it. And the quotes that stood out to me, a few quotes stood out, one of which we already talked about, which was, we've got a player like Hurdle who was drafted as a centerman. That's going to be his position eventually. Okay, sure. The couple that I thought was interesting is, one is our goal to continue to compete this year and be prepared for the future. The assets, the picks, the ample cap space. Okay, this is for the future. Maybe they're looking at 2 years down the road. I don't know. See, I'm almost thinking that, no, you have to really be focused on next year. Between the money that you get back in moving some of these guys and having ample cap space, because you didn't spend to the cap this year. If you spend to the cap next year, but like I said, though, you also have to determine what in the hell you're going to do about Niemi, but you're going to have a lot of space to make moves. Then you shoot for next year, because the year after that, you still have Thornton and Marlowe now on the final years of their deal. You don't want that to be a distraction. So, and if they get moved before the deadline, it's just, I see that in 2 years being an issue.
Yeah, there's so many things, and we've done this through the years for sure with Dean Lombardi as a GM. He would have a boatload of free agents that he would need to sign. Granted, they were mostly restrictive at the time, but he would take them down to like the days right before training camp and everything. But let's take a look at what Doug Wilson has done this season with my fancy production value display here. He got Dylan from Dallas for Demers in the third rounder on November 21st. 6 days later, he signed. They were in the oh shit mode. We don't have a goaltender. They got a friend of mine, Ryan Lowe from San Jose State, to a player tryout. That was just one day thing. They signed Nikita. Oh boy, Jev Palovs. I'm probably messing that up.
I buy it. Sure.
Sure. All right. Okay. So they signed him to an entry level contract. He wasn't going to be part of the team this year.
I'm going to say Yapalovs, but I'm just going with that.
Right. I'd be in trouble if that was on Wheel of Fortune. Of course, February 9th, they got Nabby from the Lightning, which was essentially here you can retire as a Shark. March 1st, of course, they put Ty McGinn on waivers, and Shep went to the Rangers. I mean, there wasn't too much going on, but I mean, other than that, you had McGinn claimed by Arizona today, Desjardins to Chicago for Ben Smith, and a conditional pick, Tyler Kennedy to the Islanders, which what I thought was a conditional third-round pick in 2015 or 2016, but that I guess changed.
Well,
And
no,
then,
it's not. It's not that. It's the whole spin of the numbers. That is potentially what it could be. The only way it bumps to a third is if the Islanders win the Stanley Cup.
Okay, and was it right now a seventh?
It's a seventh until the Islanders win the Cup this season. as soon as the Islanders get knocked out of postseason play, it's automatically a seventh.
So essentially, we gave up Tyler Kennedy for a seventh-round pick.
Well, when people don't want you or people don't want to take you, you go, you dance with the one person that, if you want to dance and, only the ugliest girl is willing, well, then you dance with her, I suppose.
I mean, that's
what a bad analogy that was.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, you better keep drinking that beer. And the last one, Freddie Hamilton, who was the second leading scorer for the Worcester Sharks, or the San Jose insert name here's next year, went to Colorado for Carl Stollery. The guy for Stollery, because he's another player that was, named in all the deals that occurred today. He's only played 5 games this season. He's played a total of 7 NHL games overall. No points. He's a +4. So he's got that going for him. But that's it.
Wow, there's a lot of, shall we say, confidence behind that.
Oh, yeah. I guess this was Doug Wilson's thing of saying, you guys wanted a defenseman. I got one for you.
Well,
it's something else. We welcome all your comments, feedback, questions, whatever.
Which we will get to those soon.
Definitely. Use the hashtag Pucknology after dark. You can at me. I'm at Puckeye14 on Twitter, or at AJ_strong. We'll be more than happy to check those out for you. But sorry, you were about to say something, AJ. Go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to finish off my quotes.
Sorry.
So besides those Wilson quotes, another one was, "This is still a team that is capable of playing very well. The frustration is you just never know how long they're going to play well for." Could that quote be any more disturbing? I mean, what the... So you've basically come out and said, yes, this team is incredibly inconsistent, and we have no solutions for it. Was essentially what that meant to me. So you leave it all on the players, fine. But then the one quote that's, I had 4 quotes, but the one that really hit me the hardest was, "I don't care who the goaltender is when you're giving up 6 or 7 2-on-1s per game." Okay, well, if you don't care, then why not move Niemi for value right now? He has value. Why not move him? Now, maybe it is a case of he couldn't find someone that would give him the value that he was looking for, and he's going to wait until off season before July 1st when he's a UFA, and maybe try to work out a deal then to trade his rights. But either way, he's still not going to get good value unless you sign him. Like we've said multiple times, we're clearly going to have a decision between now and July 1st to figure out who the hell the netminders are going to be for the Sharks next season and moving forward. But either way, I thought that was a kind of telling quote, shall we say. And then the one thing that I really wanted to bring up, if you guys had the opportunity to watch the NHL Network today, oh my God.
I was unfortunately I got called into work. I was supposed to do 11 to 8 shift. I got called in at 6, so I didn't get a chance to see too much. But how was Sportsnet? Because this was the big day for them.
No. This wasn't the simulcast of TSN. That had already passed. This was straight up NHL Network. This was 4 to 7, I believe, today. I don't know the gentleman's name, but I did tweet out a Vine of his 6-second comment. I'm sure if you see him, you'll know the name. But this guy unloaded, and he literally called McClellan as useful as a white crayon. And essentially saying someone needs to go if they don't make the playoffs, whether it's Wilson or T-Mac. He said he believes that the players are just no longer buying what T-Mac has to sell, and that he was also lamenting the huge gap between the top 6 guys and the bottom 6 guys, and he believes that there has to be a disconnect between the GM and the coach somewhere. And the other thing he kind of lamented, and it seemed pretty obvious, he was pointing towards Thornton and Marlowe, although he didn't name them, but the quote was, if you have guys you can move and you don't, shame on the GM. And he was calling out Doug Wilson for essentially icing a lack of secondary scoring, and it did come off as if he was calling out Wilson for not moving Thornton and Marlowe just because the whole Tomorrow team, the whole rebuild, but his bottom line really sounded as if he thinks that someone, if they're not gone, that if they miss the playoffs, he thinks McClellan is gone. If they make the playoffs, he's saying next year he thinks that Wilson might in fact be gone. But somebody, and of course, if Wilson's gone, let's be honest, if McClellan's on the last year of his deal, which he will be next year, if you bring in a different GM, he's going to want to put his stamp on it right away. He's going to bring in new staff, new guys, people that he knows, blah, 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 blah. So either way, if you get an opportunity to see any of that replay, but being called as useful as a white crayon, it's like, oh, man, I have to put that in my little my pocket of sarcasm to use at a later date.
That was Kelly Chase. He does the NHL Network a lot at times. I think he's also an extra analyst on Blues broadcasts, and of course that's where he made his heyday with the Blues. And to each his own.
It was awesome.
You know, like he can't really say much about himself, but whatever.
Yeah. It does make me wonder just what in the hell the Sharks had for lunch at Sunday Funday yesterday. I was a little worried that getting sushi and mani-pedis at Santana Row would not fix the issue and get them to play longer than 20 minutes a game. But whatever they had, that needs to be the new pregame meal from here on to the end of the season.
I agree, and I think they need to, instead of Gatorade, they should have mimosas in there. I'm looking up Santana Row right now because unfortunately I've only been to me I would have I don't know I would have for me I would have gone Cheesecake Factory across the street, but that's just me.
There you go. But I mean, getting back to kind of the final recap on tonight's game, at least numbers wise, shots on goal overall. The Sharks outshot Montreal 37-20. The second period was the big one. 11 was out shooting them 11-5, and of course the other big thing is going 2 for 3 on the power play. How many times have we talked about the numbers that when the Sharks score at least one power play goal, their odds of winning go up dramatically. I don't know what there are other teams. They score a power play goal. It doesn't have as much of an effect, it seems, as it does with the Sharks. They get that power play goal. There's something about it. I don't know what it is. But 67% obviously tonight on the power play. Penalty minutes, they didn't have any, with the exception of the "you're too tall" penalty to Scott at the end of the game. That was it. Face-offs, they owned the circle, 41-24, so they had 63% in the face-off circle tonight. It was huge in the first period.
It was the perfect game. I mean, you had no penalties. You didn't put Montreal's power play out there, which can be dangerous at times. You limited Montreal to 20 shots on goal overall, and then just 5 for the period in the second. And I think it took them time to.
It's 7 minutes, no shots on goal.
Right, and it took them to get those 5 late in the period, anyways.
And then you out-hit them 32-21. When was the last time a Sharks team out-hit the opponent, number one, but then also out-hit them while carrying a large part of the possession? You never see that.
And they came out inspired. That's the big one, is that they came out inspired for this team, for the game. I mean, yeah, you can have all the team meetings you want. You can have the pep talks from the coaches and the GM saying, all right, this is the team we're going to have. Let's go for it from there. But come on. I mean, it can't be. I mean, my guess, if anything, it's either Maggiano's or the Yard House that these guys went to at Santana Row. And I'll take the Yard House because that's some damn good food. Nothing against anything else, because I know there's probably others that are going to be offended by it, but whatever.
To each their own.
Right. But don't you think the Sharks could have done a little bit more? I mean, we're going to talk about the standings right now. They're tied with LA.
Hold on. Do you mean more in tonight's game or more as in trade deadline?
Well, kind of about a little bit of both. With the win tonight, the Sharks have 70 points. If you want to be real technical, they technically would leapfrog over the Kings with the Rose. And they're tied with Calgary for the number 3 spot. And you're right in the thick of it. Wouldn't you make a move kind of like the Ben Smith one, where you can get some defensive help? I mean, nothing. I mean, are we going to ride Hannon if we were to make the postseason and get into the postseason? And personally, after tonight's game, I hope he enjoys the view up in the press box, because they seem very sound and smooth with all this.
No, honestly, like we've made fun of most of the season, it's all part of the plan. So whether they get in and get or not, it seems, at least from Wilson's spin cycle that can make you a little dizzy, he seemed that he told us up front, you got to at least respect him for that this is going to be a backward year. We're taking a step back, maybe 2 steps back, or 1 step back to take 2 steps forward. So I think it was a case of, look, yeah, we're not going to ice as good a team as we did last season, but that's going to allow us to make moves in the future, to do, to get better, to go further. My deal, I really think Wilson thought that this team would be good enough to at least sneak in, and that would kind of save things, and they are good enough to sneak in. But will they? That's the problem. When was the last time you saw a team go winless for an entire fucking month? You you look at some of those games. The LA game outside, it was a very winnable game. The game against Detroit, you had another
You had
winnable
that game
game.
right there, and the same thing
Exactly.
with I can't. Why am I blanking now?
I have
Oh my
no
god.
idea.
Oh my god. Who did we lose to Saturday
Oh,
night?
Ottawa.
Ottawa. Thank you. Oh my god. It was like, no, we played Carolina earlier. Yeah. I mean, you had two winnable games, and those two are now you're gonna look at as
Pivotal.
getting in or getting out.
Yeah, I mean
And
you
that's 4 points plus two regulation overtime wins that they pretty much blew up on.
easily. And if you end up missing the playoffs by 2 or 3 points, do you understand like how much those you can? There's a handful of games you can look at, but Detroit you had. Ottawa was very winnable. The outdoor game was very winnable. These were games that they just didn't go your way for some reason. Okay, fine, whatevs. But you're going to look back on that if you miss it by just a couple. Hell, if you miss it by 1 point, like that is going to just that'll take the wind out of your sails.
Well, that a whole another roster implosion. You know, next week we're gonna want to. I mean, if that happens, we're probably gonna try to get Link Gates to come out of retirement to center the line with John Scott.
That could be interesting.
No, it won't. No.
Oh no, I would. Him and Marty McSorley should just go out there and start wrecking people.
Come on, we got to bring back Jeff Odgers.
Well,
Although I will say this, if Jeff Odgers were to come back, my mom, who has the biggest crush on Jeff Odgers, I don't know why, besides him flirting with my mom during one game, no, that's not possible. That shouldn't be a thing.
well, how about we're almost an hour in. Let's take it to the tweets.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
Our first question of the night comes from Bleeding Teal, who says, given how well the Habs were last month and how bad San Jose was last month, did Montreal underprepare for San Jose? And I would say I don't know that they underprepared for them. I don't think maybe they expected the amount of energy or the jump that they were going to have, but I also believe it's a case of Montreal is jet lagged. They're 2 hours later. It's the time bites them in the ass, and it does get to some teams. Apparently, it doesn't get to Detroit when they're playing their third and four nights, but it impacted Montreal tonight. What do you think?
I mean, yeah, you could say the jet lag and getting used to a 10 o'clock start. I mean, sure, of course. Underprepare. Well, I mean, of all people and of all teams that we know, that the Sharks of all teams, underprepare or don't take teams too seriously. Especially with going with your backup goaltender. I mean, you can say, yeah, they probably underprepared, but at the same time, to get shut out by the backup goalie.
And to only get 20 shots off.
Right. I mean, against a team that usually gives up a lot of that. So it's a tough to tell. I mean, it could be a combination of a few things, to be honest.
Yeah.
So, thank you, Bleeding Teal, again for mentioning. I'm just scrolling up here. Thank you, Bleeding Teal, for changing that Subban's tied with Burns.
Yes. From Patrick, he is clearly a advertiser on this program. He wants you to know that you can get a free 2015 Tweet Up button with the purchase of any Stadium Series bag, which are now only 50% off. So nice little PSA for you.
Very funny, Patrick.
Yeah.
And for those who are still wondering, the tree is still not for sale.
Not yet.
Let alone the jersey of the night, which is Gagliardi's game-worn jersey when he was first acquired from here.
Back to the tweets. It's Bleeding Teal once again is saying that Wilson has said he has not ruled out re-signing him. And yeah, of course he would say that. Why would you say anything else? Like, it's not like Wilson's going to come out and go, oh yeah, once this season's over, I'm going to trade his ass so fast it'll make your head spin. Yeah, we get that. Of course, he's not going to say anything other than something along those lines to instill confidence, and the team still is behind you, and yada, yada, yada. There could be completely other plans. We all remember a general manager who will remain Wilson, who signed Setaguchi to a 3-year extension and traded his ass less than a week later. So
not even less than a week later. It was the next day.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm saying is things can happen quick, especially if a dance partner comes along that is willing to hike up her skirt a lot more than anybody else.
Whoa.
Hello. So anyway, Daryl is saying the Sharks must be very active this offseason, regardless of how the season ends. No excuses, no BS, hashtag too much cap space. I will say that is the thing that is kind of sat on me this season. If you look at the history that the Sharks have had, it seemed in the mid to late 2000s, they never spent to the cap. And that was a lot of things that fans bitched at. That they were always somewhere in the middle of the pack, maybe the, say, 10 to 15 area, but they never broke the top 5. And then the last few seasons, all of a sudden, they were real. They were high up there. They were pushing the ceiling, as it were. And this season, I think fans expected that again. And now that they're seeing that there's, say, 8-9 million in space, they're going, well, how come our defense sucks so bad when you have all this money in the bank to go out and get somebody, you know?
Well, yeah, I agree. It's one of those questionable things where you're like, okay, spend to the cap, go get some more help. You also have to remember they knew that they were going to be taking a step back to go 2 steps forward. In other words, translation, we knew that there won't be too many. So to offset the $15 million per year that we're going to lose, we're going to not spend as much. And for good reason, too, because if you're going to go with the youth is going to come at a cheaper cost than, re-signing a Dan Boyle or getting whoever that's going to cost you multi-million dollars.
That's true. Let's see. Hold on. I feel I have to say. Okay. Apparently, Bleeding Teal apparently really wants to come on. We're going to have to bring them on as a guest sometime soon. To probably be closer to the playoffs of the off season, but we'll definitely get you on at some point.
Mm-hmm.
In case you were wondering, Todd McClellan's headshot has been updated, and Netich at Chester Chivo has the updated photo, in case you're wondering. So check him out. It is the updated photo of Todd McClellan. You can check out the hashtag Pucknology After Dark for it to take a look at it. It's a very good shot of McClellan. Then let's see who else.
There was Patrick was making a comment because earlier the night, what I usually try to do when we're playing Montreal is tweet in French as a salute to the French Canadian. And he says, "Don't start going French Canadian on us. Between NHL ties going German this morning and your French, my head hurts."
Yeah, I don't know what.
You know what? Sacre bleu.
I don't know what NHL ties is doing, but I was laughing my ass off. And
I didn't see that, so I gotta check that out later.
And I do have to correct myself. I'm being called out on Twitter, and yes, that was my bad. They were winless at home. They weren't winless for February. They were 3-2. It just felt like they were winless for February. That was the point.
They ended up having like 1 win a week, except for last week. So.
Well, and L. Bryan is now tweeting that the Sharks have an internal cap, not the they don't have. Apparently it's whatever Tatora or Plattner decide, but I'm sure it's more of a Tortora thing. So the Sharks were in the red last season. Tortora told to break even. I don't understand how you're supposed to break even when you ice a team that's significantly worse than what you've put out there, when you get rid of the most beloved broadcaster in Sharks history. But I guess you get some extra money for putting up shitty, cheesy CGI graphics behind the net for home games, or putting girls in tiny little outfits. I guess that somehow is supposed to make you more money. I'm not really sure how the economics of that work out. I just assume that next year parking outside the tank is going to be $30, and a decent beer is going to cost you, like, I don't know, say what, $14 maybe?
That wouldn't be too far off, which scares me a lot.
Hey, you know, one way they could think about getting to that break-even point, if they want to shave some salary, how about firing John fucking Tortora? That's a good start. That'll save you some cash right there.
You're gonna bring in somebody to replace him. I mean, even if Malcolm Bordelon was still with the organization, just to piss off Patrick, I'm gonna talk like these. Even if Tortora or Bordelon was still in the organization, you still have to pay the guy, eh? So yeah, I don't think he would be much of a difference who you had for president and CEO. What are you typing, AJ?
I'm just responding to one of our tweeters. So, anywho, yeah, my whole thing, you know what? Fire John Tortora, bring Drew Remenda back to do both color and run the fucking team as CEO or COO, excuse me. I'm sure he'll do a much better job. At this point, nobody can do a worse job than John Tortora. It feels like name me the one good thing he's done. Exactly, you can't. Oh,
we got the outdoor game,
which was in motion before his ass was even here, so I don't even want to hear that. But parking at AT&T is $35 this year. Yeah, but you know what the difference is? The Giants occasionally win shit. Okay.
Well, what do you say about the $50 at Levi's?
Hey, you know what? I don't go. I'll go to Giants games. When I go to Giants games, I do it right nice. I'm not gonna, But either way, the one thing I did want to get into that popped into my head, looking at the calendar today, now that we're beyond trade deadline, is it me, or do I have this faint memory of a few short weeks ago where I was told as a fan that we're getting an AHA, or our AHL affiliate is moving west, and by the end of February, I'll know the new team name. It's March. Still waiting. Any ideas? Nothing. Not even putting it out for a fan vote, whether it's Hammerheads or Makos or whatever you want to do. I mean, nothing. I guess, if you wanted to go with white, you're talking about the white crayon. I guess if you want to go with white shark, you could call them the San Jose McClellans. If you want to go the whole white route. I just, you know what? As a sign of respect, I swear to God, you almost want to call them the San Jose Urbes.
What? Urbes? I would have gone Nolan's.
No, it's actually, if it was really up to me, I'd go
Ricci's.
Yeah, I'd go with the San Jose Ricci's.
Because you can all hear them reach.
It's very easy to chant.
Yes.
Damn! Now, now, if you get the opportunity, even the Sharks have updated the page. Patrick has tweeted out, check out at Generation X-Wing. He is now showing us the updated headshot of Todd McClellan on the San Jose Sharks page.
There we go.
Go check it out. That is fucking fantastic. Dude, just let me let you know right now. I see we have some people watching right now, and we totally thank you for watching us. We have a good time doing this. Hope you guys have a good time watching us. We love talking about the Sharks. I wish we got this type of coverage just from one of the local sports stations of anything, just a little bit of post-game talk. And do me a favor if you could. Please, right down there, there's a little button that says subscribe, so take a look at that. But to the people that are watching us, thank you so much. And by all means,
Keep
send us
watching.
keep
I
watching. Send
mean,
us comments. Hit us up. Hashtag Pucknology After Dark. I totally had something in my mind, and that's why I'm like filling for a second. Now I totally fucking forgot what it was. So go ahead.
you keep thinking of it, and I'll bring it back here for a sec. There's a reason why we do this, and it's partly because the local sports stations don't give any time to the Sharks for their coverage. Whether it's because, ooh, baseball's more important even if it's in November, or we need to talk about Steph Curry's ankle for the 845th time, or how Jed York sucks, or how the Niners O-line sucks, or for that matter, the Raiders stadium situation sucks. Um, this is why we do it. I think somebody came up to me and asked me, well, where did we get the idea for Pucknology After Dark? And it was basically a combination of Sharks Late Night Confidential, um, three or four guys walking into a bar and talking about hockey, and the call-in radio show that we haven't had since the fourth period went away on Kara 105.7, which I think has flipped formats three times since Kara's gone off the air.
It's been Spanish. It's been Vietnamese. Who knows what it's been? And what was the
It's
name of the woman that constantly called in because she was a riot? Do
oh
you
gosh,
remember?
I do not remember.
But you know exactly
I
who I'm
know who
talking
you're
about.
talking about.
Okay. Oh, I did just real fast. Let me get to your point just real fast. I remember what I was thinking is thank you guys for watching. But the one thing that you should definitely keep an eye on is as you're watching us, by all means, stay on Twitter. And anytime at Generation X Wing tweet something, it's going to be fucking hysterical. So just wanted to put that out there. He's awesome with the photos. That motherfucker is a Photoshop whiz with this shit. So, and he's very funny. But anyway, I digress. Post-game call-in shows on sports radio. Go.
Yes. So basically, we look at it this way. So this is what we do. We want to have fun. We want to, kind of stretch out from after Brody and Curtis Brown go off the air. Although we kind of get into their time slot a little early, but why not? Don't tell Brody. Right now, as we look at it, the Sharks sit at 70 points. They have 18 games left. They have 29 regulation overtime wins. They are technically tied with the Flames at 70 points, but the Flames have 30 regulation overtime wins and 62 games played. So the games in hand are still at two for LA, Minnesota, and Calgary. We have caught up to Winnipeg at 64. I had a friend in Winnipeg at MTS Center Chance saying that they are very scared of the Sharks coming back and haunting them to not make the postseason up in Winnipeg. It's doable, guys. It's very doable for them to sneak back into it, and it's a big game tomorrow night because if they can pull off the victory in Vancouver against the struggling Canucks team that won't have Ryan Miller in net, they'll have Eddie Lack in net tomorrow.
And how surprising is that? That I was very surprised that Vancouver did not make a move today to pick up a goaltender.
I was too, so maybe something they know about how Ryan Miller will be coming back,
It didn't sound like
or in Eddie Lack we trust.
no. It actually didn't sound like that. Listening to TSN today because it's the only hockey coverage I can get when I'm moving around. They were talking. I forget the gentleman's name who is backing up Lack right now. I think it starts with an M or something. But apparently that's a guy they're willing to take a ride on right now.
I mean, if they can, go for it. Why not? If they have that much trust, which we hope so.
I'm sure within 5 seconds somebody's going to tweet in the guy's name, and I'm going to feel like an idiot because I couldn't remember it at the time.
Where was I? Missed one. Alex Sharks _fan 27 said, "How awesome was Burns' save at the goal line tonight?" All I can say is
That For me, the Burns saving that, now you have to take into account that that whole thing kind of started because of a misplay by him. So I would say Burns' save, that was a hell of a way to polish a turd. That was fan-fucking-tastic. Alex is also asking, and you would know this better than I, at Sharks_fan27 wants to know, do you think the Sharks will continue to use the outdoor jerseys?
They will. I believe they are going to use it one or two more times. Kurz had mentioned that a couple of weeks ago, and that Black Armor will be used one more time on March 12th, and it could very well be the last time that they will use it. There is rampant speculation. Well, I don't even think you can even speculate. I think it's pretty close to being a sure thing that the Sharks will have some sort of New Jersey, whether it's an anniversary or vintage or whatever you want to call it next season. We've seen these before. Anaheim had used their eggplant icons or their eggplant iconic jerseys when they came into the NHL for a game last year. That was a one-time thing. We've seen the Kings use their purple and yellow jerseys from the past for a few nights. And I don't even think that's technically their official third jersey. And via aesthetics.co, the Coyotes are supposed to break out their black Picasso jerseys on the 5th against, I forget who they're playing. Oh, against Vancouver. They're going to have Jeremy Roenick talk the puck, but yeah, they're going to break out their old original jerseys when they move from Winnipeg on, what would that be? I guess Friday night or
And,
Thursday night.
and getting back to the Vancouver goalie I was trying to think of, that would be Markstrom.
Oh, Jacob Markstrom.
I knew it started with an M, I just couldn't remember, although Bleeding Teal apparently believes it to be La Barbara on Twitter. I see it on the Vancouver website. It's on the Vancouver website. It's Jacob Markstrom, and that's the name I heard today from the guys who call Vancouver. So I'm going with that until I hear otherwise. Somebody, Chester Chivo Nedich, my man, brought up the tweet heard round the world today on that made it onto TSN about who did they want to keep because he banged Phaneuf's wife? Loophole, yeah. How does that make it past the censors? That to me completely reminded me of the whole KTVU holy fook debacle. Like clearly that was something that was read on TV that had to be put on a teleprompter, that somebody was on a phone call, it had to go to a copy editor, had to be read by a teleprompter guy who's going to type it in, and yet it still passed all those levels of security, and it still was read on the air. Clearly there's somebody who was taking the day off or something and just saw like probably the first couple of words and said, oh, it's about Joffrey Loophole. We'll just, when they start talking about Loophole or the Maple Leafs or whatever, we'll just throw that on, and didn't even bother to read the entire thing. I would love to know. Now, I only saw it as a tweet and the screen grab. I would love to know how long that tweet was actually on air. Like, was it just there for, say, like 1001, bam, somebody saw it, pulled it down, or was it up there for, like, the same amount of time that all the other long-winded tweets are? Either way, the fact that it was on there and that there wasn't a whole lot of, I mean, not that it's that controversial, it's just funny, but I'm just surprised there wasn't a little more, since everybody loves to get their, balls in a twist every time Janet Jackson shows her nipple. I'm surprised that it didn't go more viral for some reason.
Yeah, yeah, well, that's for sure. I'm trying to look up the tweet that Kurz had put out about the jerseys. As you know me, I am a logo and jersey nut. That's my thing. My dream is to redesign these damn Sharks jerseys because there's still always something wrong with them. They can't get the frickin' thing right. Um, but to what I recall, it's that they will wear black armor one more time, and then they will wear the Stadium Series jerseys twice, and then I believe they'll wear their regular teal for the season finale in LA because LA will wear their Stadium Series jersey the final game of the season.
Oh, the Kings are going to wear their Depends for the last game. That's so cute.
Oh God. I'm still trying to figure out how in the hell who approved white pants. I mean,
Who approved my lower third right now?
I was
I don't
actually
even
waiting for them
know.
to wear white gloves to go with it. I mean,
I don't even know.
oh, here we go. Okay, this was back on February 15th from Kevin Kurz. Okay, here's the deal: black on March 12th, the Stadium Series jersey on February 28th, and March 14th per the Sharks.
Hmm.
So they'll wear the Stadium Series jersey one more time.
And it makes me wonder how many more times they're going to wear that damn black armor thing before they fucking finally burn that.
March 12th, that's it.
Oh, thank God. Okay, I'll make sure not to go to that game either.
And like Eric Landy also says, no black armor in the playoffs as well. So yeah,
Yeah.
if they do make the postseason, they will be in teal.
Um, but that you did bring up a great point. Is what do we see for a anniversary jersey next season to celebrate the silver anniversary? Do they roll out a silver jersey? Like, if you remember the inaugural jersey, the inaugural teal one, the teal body with white stripes, black stripes, but had essentially silver, gray, whatever you want to
Gray in the
call that.
middle. Yep.
Yeah, so you have that. So do you do an inversion of that where you have teal, white, black accents with a silver jersey since it's the silver anniversary? Stop shaking your head. I'm just throwing it out there as an idea. I'm
That's
just
fine.
saying.
You can go ahead.
But or do they try to like marry old versus new, where it's the old style, the inaugural style of the jersey that we all know and love, but they change the logo so it's actually the current logo versus the former logo, which I think would be incredibly distasteful. I think if you're going to make a nod to your inaugural season like they did during the 20th anniversary, while they never skated in the jerseys, they put them on sale at the Shark store because John Turturro knows how to break even. So I'm sure they'll roll those out again, and I'm sure they'll roll out some sort of design. I really hope that they do a re-release of the inaugural jerseys. I still love them, even if they were to do a kind of, as I stated, like a marriage of old and new, where you have it as what jersey are you wearing right now? You're not wearing a current one.
This is the
That
next
is
wave
correct.
jersey.
Okay, so you wear a jersey, or you have a jersey like that, but you eliminate or you design it with that style where it has the tie, it has the NHL thing on the neck, but the rest of it looks completely like the inaugural jersey. It's a refresh of the inaugural jersey using the quote-unquote edge technology. But then again,
Right.
Thornton might bitch that it's too heavy because it has too many stripes. I don't know.
But too damn bad. I mean, if you're gonna change it, if you're gonna change it to a throwback, you have to keep it as a throwback, unless you do something different. And I'm trying to find. So when the Sharks unveiled the next wave, they had tiny little, quick little snippets on Instagram of their own self leaks, and I was playing around and trying to find what would it look like, and I'm trying to find my concept that I had of it, and I thought it would be more closer to the actual original look because that's what everybody's been asking for.
Of course, I still go back to while the current jersey, I actually kind of like. I do still think it's a little bland. I do think there should be a waist stripe like the inaugural ones had. Um, my favorite generation jersey will always be the second generation because that one
The Nike
was.
style.
Well, I've got like 5 of them, and none of them are Nike. Like they're mostly CCM, but it's just the one that people mostly relate Owen Nolan with. You know, that 97 to 2004 or whatever it is. But that era,
Right, that era.
that jersey to me was just so. It was just so different from anything else the rest of the league was wearing. I just love that style, especially the neck on it. And how it had kind of the fins underneath the arm type thing. It just, to me, I loved everything about that jersey. And then to replace it with something that looked like pajamas with shoulder pads and orange of any kind, I wanted to throw up.
Right. Now, what you're seeing here is what I was guessing for what we have right now. But this is something that if they didn't want to do the actual return to the original teal and everything, this is something that they could probably roll with permanently in regards to. Oh my God, you're right. Your lower third, AJ.
Oh, just now seeing that, eh? Good for you.
Oh, no comment. But yeah, I mean, something like that. That would be something that they should have used instead of having the blank on the bottom. And for shits and giggles, because after all, that's what we are here for. That's the white version that I would have, which looks 100 cajillion times better than the white jerseys we have right now.
Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. That the bottom third, as it were, on the sleeves or the bottom quarter, the bottom on the waist and on the bottom of the wrists or whatever you want to call it, having that big splash of teal makes such a difference.
A huge
night and day.
difference. I mean, and you don't have that tiny little. Let's try and sneak it on the camera here. That tiny little speck of teal on the arms when you have two, semi-medium black stripes on there. I mean, my point is, we're nicknamed Team Teal. Use it. Just a thought.
Yeah. Don't that. Uh-oh. Okay.
Oh,
Break out
no.
the Hulk graphic.
Uh-oh.
You brought up Team Teal. Somebody get out the Hulk graphic. I'm about to go rant on that.
Oh,
Don't get me started on the fact that to me that's one of the dumbest things that the Sharks ever did was the fact that they put out black jerseys or gave out black shirts. Hell, when they gave out those orange Get Loud shirts, I wanted to puke. I don't give a shit how fucking awesome it looks on TV. It's not. It was never Orange Town, USA. It was never Black Town, USA. It was Teal Town, USA.
Absolutely.
So, like, literally in the back of my mind, I hear it. Like, oh, y'all gonna make me lose my mind.
Pumping, yeah, pumping, yeah. No, I'm not gonna start dancing. You don't want to see me. You don't want to see me do that. No.
Okay, now, go ahead. I'm working on something, but I'll be with you in a second.
All right. Well, we got a big game tomorrow. Sharks Canucks. 7. It's a 7 o'clock start again. It finishes a back-to-back consecutive nights, but it also begins a home for the Sharks and Canucks. They will be here Saturday. Apparently, they are doing a California road trip, so there'll be a lot of Canucks fans down there. Oh my God, Generation X-Wing, you've done it again. I'm gonna retweet this.
Dude, you are the shit, man. You're cracking me up with this. Holy crap. Oh, man, that's just awesome. Okay, so if I may,
Go ahead.
Here is what I would like to see. This is the version that I would like to see. This was tweeted by at Chester Chivo. You know, obviously you take away the Winter Classic patch, But this is the kind of essentially what I was talking about. Maybe you make the little neck thing that has the NHL patch. Maybe you switch that to black, whatever. But actually, no, fuck that, because it's Team Teal. I think this would be the perfect compromise. It's the new Edge Reebok style, whatever you want to call it, but it's all retro. And that is the thing. If they're going to do this, fucking do it right and use the original logo. Don't use the new Japanese anime shark with a teal toupee thing. Go with the original logo. I'm, I'm telling you. You can sell a shitload of merch, and because I'm telling you, I don't know if you've ever been in the Shark store where.
Well, yes, I have.
Yes.
I've given a lot of money over to them. And if you're watching, Amanda, I will see you Saturday.
There you go. I know. Okay, I know you've been in the Shark store a lot. But one of the things that I've seen in the Shark store that elicits the giggles out of me like you can't believe is seeing. And now you also have to realize is that I think the first time I saw this was the season that they switched from original badass logo to Japanese anime teal toupee logo was the a shirt and they have that style now where the shirt like it looks like it's 20 years old, that it's all been faded and worn
Distressed.
to death. Yeah, distressed, whatever. But so they have this distressed shirt that has the brand new logo on it that says Sharks, old time hockey, established 1991. But we're going to use the logo that we just introduced to you 2 weeks ago. That's old time, baby. Good looking at.
Doesn't surprise me at all.
I'd rather have a jersey that had left shark on it from the Super Bowl.
Which apparently, speaking of merchandise, and here we go with me sounding like QVC again.
Oh shit! Get ready, Gen X. Get ready.
Katy Perry actually now is selling left shark onesies on her website.
Let me guess. She fucking trademarked it, right?
I'm sure she did, just like Taylor Swift trademarked "This Sick Beat."
Oh really?
Oh yeah,
I thought she trademarked getting dumped by guys. That would make more sense. Oh, sorry, Brody, if you're watching. Sorry.
Hi, Brody. If you and let's put it this way, Brody, if you are watching, and I hope we have another NBCSN game, right?
Hey, Brody, if you are watching, we have a blank space. We'll write your name.
Right, because after all, we're way out of style. And if you make fun of it, dude, just shake it off. Woo-hoo-hoo.
Dude, honestly, I think Gen X right now is going, huh, gay.
This is the shirt. Well, this isn't. This is a different shirt. You had talked about one where it said like Fan Since, and they had the current logo. They came up with this one where it says Fan Since on top, and then put this logo on.
Yeah,
that sold like crazy.
It sold like crazy because it has the old logo. See, I look at that and I just go, oh my god, it's so nice to look at that with no fucking orange. I love that. But the funny thing is I know there was a few people that bought that shirt. They didn't get it. Like, they didn't notice that it was a different logo. And I'm like, oh my god, you people are too stupid. Oh.
You're just dumb, for real.
Oh, okay. Here is a great topic. Just bounced in my head.
Bounce.
Bounce. So there's a Sharks Facebook page for fans of it, not the official Sharks Facebook page, but a group for Sharks fans and whatnot. And there was a photo tweeted. I don't know how fast Eric can post it. I know I tweeted him with it earlier, but there was a photo outside of the tank with 3 fans wearing bags on their heads, and one said embarrassed fan, one said ashamed fan, and one said something else, and one had a white jersey, one had a teal, one had a black. But it was clearly, you know, we're as fans, we're pissed off and we're not going to take it anymore. And that photo was put on the Sharks Facebook page, and it proceeded to end up into like a 122 comment debate on whether those three guys were real fans. And if you were to do something like that, you're not a real fan. I don't understand how somebody can say one person's a real fan or whatnot. You don't know the history. What's really funny is a bunch of people came out with their comments that was, they're not real fans. They should take that shit off, leave their jerseys here and go down to L.A. and blah, 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 blah. Whereas then it came out that those three fans have been season ticket holders for 15 seasons, have gone to multiple road trips. If you remember the Sharks, I want to say maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
The bus invasions to Anaheim.
No, well, they might have been on that too, but these are guys that the Sharks went on like the longest East Coast road trip in like NHL history, where they played like 9 games over 2.5 weeks during the SAP Open thing or whatever. But they went on some ridiculous. They went on a ridiculous road trip, and these guys went to half of those games. But remember, they went to one game with a bag on their head, so they're not real fans, despite having season tickets for 15 years and spending countless amounts of money going to road trips.
Let's put it this way. And AJ, you and I have both been a longtime Sharks fans. I mean, you've been fans since day one, right?
Well, I don't want to hop on the bandwagon. Day two.
Day two? Okay. Day two. That's great. You know, there's times where you are just frustrated beyond belief. When the Sharks first came, they were 1759 and 8, or I forget the specific record that they were, but they had only won 17 games their first year. Then they lost an NHL record 71 games and somehow perceived not to get the first overall pick because Ottawa had won only 10 games.
What was the envelope? Did it have a little crease? Was it creased?
Just a little bit. Just a teeny bit, you know.
You get the reference, right?
Yeah. Of course. So there's always frustration in that. And I've always taken it personally. The Sharks just suck, you know. And then we made the playoffs, and then you now have all the time where, oh, they choked this, and that. We've gotten so close and all that. All right, I get that, and that's fine. And you know what? Some of it's very deserving, unfortunately. So when you see this, it's like, okay, I understand you're frustrated, but we haven't hit the Edmonton or Toronto level yet. I mean, Edmonton has had, 4, 5, number 1 overall picks in a row, and it was just a big old thing. You know, AJ, if you're gonna walk away, mute your thing so you don't hear you boom, 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 boom. And you go through that and everything, and it's torturous. You've seen Garpalon's crossbar. We've seen Taney miss the open net in Game 7 against Colorado in 0-2. We've seen Toskala get the puck away to Samsonov, which changed the series in Edmonton, along with the hit by Rafi Torres. Wow. Yes. We just heard that, folks.
Huh? What was that?
AJ, let me just ask you this.
I'm sorry, hey, dude, give me a break, man. When you talk for 90 minutes straight and you have a couple beers, it's like, I gotta run to the head. Dude, we don't have commercials. What am I gonna do?
Did you number 1 or number 2?
You think I get number 2 that fast? Give me a break.
That is a loud-ass toilet. Oh, my God.
Oh, sorry about that, guys. I didn't realize that. But you know what it is? I actually have pressurized toilets, so you can... No, it's so you can use... You know what? Laugh at me all you want. These are for the drought. These use like a quarter of the amount of water, but they're pressurized. So I'm saving water, but it's very loud.
They're like the orange shirts get loud.
It's awesome, but I am looking out for the environment. They're water-saving toilets. I recommend them.
But getting back to what I was saying, in Andy Bleeding Teal, you're right on. The people's frustration, stems from untapped and unused talent, and then the worst part is that you see that talent and with another team, and they flourish. So there's a number of things that are frustrating fans, and it's just getting to the point where it's like, and then you see something like this tonight, where the hell was this effort all of
It's
February?
it's that you see
You
the
see glimpses of
the
hope, and
the well
they don't
but the
use it.
ability is there. It's what we've been talking about for 15 years. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. That's the
Right.
epitome of it. That's the bottom line of it. I don't know how many times a couple seasons ago where you saw the Sharks just get out hustled. Like they were playing a team that wasn't better than them. They were just working harder. They had more heart. And at that point, I was thinking to myself, I would put up the 2000 the I think it was the 99 2000 era Sharks, the ones that beat St. Louis, the one where Nolan had the shot from center ice. I would have put that team up against that current group of Sharks, and I think the Sharks, the current group, they would have been dispatched in 5 games because that 2000 group had a shit ton of heart. Where you had guys like Marchment and Nolan and Ricci and whatnot. That remember the third line, for Christ's sake. I mean,
Richie comes from Scott Thornton.
yeah, they had a shit ton of heart and a will to win, where it was do whatever it takes, get into the boards, get dirty, get in front of the net, crash, bang, do whatever you need to do, and then you look at guys that I'm sorry, look, hey, can Thornton pass his ass off? Oh yeah. Does he have massive numbers? Oh yeah. Could he be? Does he have the skills and the talent to be better than Sidney Crosby? I think so, but he doesn't want to. I almost feels like he knows how talented he is. So it's hey, I'll do what I have to, but I'm not gonna. It's one of those guys that he's like the guy who would never do extra credit at school. You know what I mean? It's like I'm gonna do enough to get what I need to do, but I'm not gonna put in the extra time. That's what it feels like sometimes. Now, regardless of that, is he one talented motherfucker? Oh yeah, he's the
Yeah,
most talented guy the Sharks have ever had. But could he be more? Absolutely, I think so. I just don't know that he wants it enough.
totally. And that's
But
been Thornton's knock on him,
his
especially
whole
in the
his whole
Canadian
career,
media.
yeah, his whole
Right.
career has been like that. Could you imagine a player of Thornton's skill set and Ricci's heart and desire? That guy would be unstoppable.
Well, yeah, and if you had 20 Richies on there, it'd be great. Bleeding Teal, once again, for the longest time, I've said SJ lacks drive to be the better than the other ever guy ever shift that is a winner. Absolutely. I mean, there are just so many times where this team has try to do just enough to make it look good. Not anything else. They could have been better, but that's the past, and they need to learn from their past to be successful right now and into the future. And speaking of into the future, one thing we didn't talk about at the trade deadline, boy howdy, the Arizona Coyotes on paper could be very dangerous in a few years.
And NHL Network was talking about that, like where that they've just been kind of lurking under the radar, and they're maybe a season or two from exploding. Then you also look at the massive strides. Think about where Vancouver would be without Miller's injury. Think about where Calgary could or could not be now that Giordano is out for the year. I mean,
Right.
potential Norris Trophy winner and is now gone for the season.
That's
But
a huge loss for Calgary.
massive. That's their captain. That's the best guy on their team. You take those two losses, those are huge, but you have to think that those guys are going to be back and coming back for more. Anaheim, they've been on this weird streak. They've almost been like on a Sharks kind of odd streak lately, where they've started off gangbusters and kind of went into a tailspin for a little bit. But either way, you look at this Pacific Division, there's no fucking around. It's not like where you had time where you could maybe pick on Arizona or pick on Dallas, it is just, I mean, L.A., Anaheim, Calgary, Vancouver. I mean, yeah, okay, Edmonton is the whipping boy of the Pacific, but you would think that they're going to make moves. They have talent. It just hasn't come together. You give them the right coach, maybe it comes together for Edmonton, but you know that they're going to make moves to improve. The Pacific is going to be just, it's going to be, every time Pacific teams play next season, I swear to God, it's going to feel like playoffs.
Mm-hmm. No, it's
Playoffs? Playoffs?
playoffs. I just hope we can win a game. I mean, you're going to be in a dogfight the next few years. I mean, Anaheim's still going to be around. I'm sure LA's going to be around, although they might be slowly trending downward with all the cap issues they're going to run into next year. I mean, just over and over and over again, and along with Vancouver will retool. Edmonton eventually is going to get better. Calgary has shown signs that they're getting better. You need to jump on it, but like I said with the Coyotes, I mean, my goodness, they look very, very scary down the road because I forget what was their. They got Duclair from the Rangers. They're going to have Max Domi. They're the third worst team in the league, which means they could end up with Connor McDavid. And what a nightmare that would be if to have McDavid in our division.
No, it'll be Buffalo, I'm telling you.
All I'm going to say is, and anybody can look this up, I believe it was the 1992 or 93 NBA draft lottery, where the Orlando Magic the year before gets Shaq and barely misses the playoffs. I think they finished 500. I gotta look this up because I totally remember this. And they had like the
do you understand what? Hold on. Do you understand what you just said?
What?
I have to look this up because I remember this.
I remember this because it was.
If you remembered it, you wouldn't have to look it up.
No, I'm trying to remember what the I'm trying to remember what the chances, what the percentage was.
Oh,
shut up.
That's another one I got to stuff in my sarcasm box.
This is unscripted, if you couldn't tell.
Oh, and by the way, while he's looking that up,
it was 93.
Okay, the three fans that wore the paper bags on their head to tonight's game actually made it onto prohockeytalk.nbcsports.com as tweeted to us by, I want to say, Eric Landy. Thank you very much, Eric.
Okay, getting back to what I was saying. Orlando had finished 41-41. They barely missed the playoffs. All right, and they had, it's like, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So, the worst team had 11 balls. Orlando had 1 ball, and you had 11 teams in it. They had one chance out of, 121 balls getting to be the number 1 overall pick. And Orlando, with their 1 ball, gets in.
The way you say it sounds so nasty, so Lance Armstrong.
You know what? And you guys think I'm the perv because we go, hey, John, did you see his wife? I mean, come on, AJ. Get your head out of the gutter. We already saw you flush it down.
Right, that's none of my business.
Okay, whatever. Oh, my God. I think we're on the verge of wrapping this thing up now. But yeah, I think Duclair and Domi are going to be amazing players down the road. And
what do you see a extension of tonight happening tomorrow night, where the guys come out with jump, where they come out executing, where they're communicating, where they've got that neutral zone transition happening with speed and precision and good passing and good decisions? Or do we see them say, oh, we had that one game and now we're going to regress to the team you saw last Thursday and last Saturday?
Well, if we know the Sharks, they'll regress. Personally, though,
they'll do enough just to break your heart.
They'll do, yeah. That's how they'll do it. They'll lose in overtime or something. But but just to have it's just gonna be one of those games where they win, all of a sudden we're talking about getting back into the playoff race again. If they lose, we're like, okay, can we tank a little bit more so we have a better shot at McDavid or Eichel? It's one of those ones. It's like show up and tell me you want it, which I think is more than a damn good reason to want it. I mean, are you going to show up because you're essentially playing for your job, let alone trying to get into the postseason?
Just win the game. If you want to prove it, just win the game.
Okay, Ray Ratto.
Speaking of Ray Ratto, and that's why I invoked that, Ray Ratto with a article today, which might have been the dumbest headline I've ever read.
Oh boy.
It was something along the line, and it's because he's, a miserable guy, and clearly that's his whole thing that he hangs his hat on. But it was something about Stalock, like the Crosby for Stalock trade didn't work out or something. Like that was the headline, and clearly it was meant in jest or something. But if you're going to say something in jest, it should have a hint of humor to it. And that's the problem with Ratto. He doesn't have any humor. So stick with basketball, buddy. Stick with baseball. Leave hockey to other people, man.
You're lucky I'm wearing pants.
Yeah. Oh dear Lord. Did you? Okay. Sorry. We're at the end of the gig. We've covered everything we're going to cover about the Sharks. So now we're just a couple odds and ends, and then we'll get out of your hair, and maybe we'll do this again tomorrow night if we can. I don't know if you saw, but Ratto was on Yahoo Sports Talk. I think like last Thursday, whatever. I put a piece of it on either Instagram or Vine. I think it was Instagram because Vine wasn't long enough to do it justice. But Ratto blamed something about the owners and the CBA that the NFL players signed or something. There was something that the players signed, and Ratto put it on the owners, and Cause just blew his stack and was just, Ratto, I'm tired of this. You always blame the owners, and like I'd never seen Cause go off like, Cause is usually so mellow and so kind of up and like, hey, everything is awesome. That's the way he always is. And all of a sudden he just went off on Ratto, and I was like, oh hell yeah, this is awesome. But the best part is Kawakami's in the middle of him, and they do a tight head, one shot on Kawakami, and he's just like this. He just says, I mean, dude was cool as a cucumber.
And of all people, Kawakami.
Oh, cool as a cucumber. Internally, probably laughing his ass off. But Coase lit Ratto up, and I was laughing so hard. I was like, good for you, Coase, man. That guy needs to be taken down a peg every once in a while, especially now that Remenda's no longer with us.
Oh, yeah. I mean, somebody's got to be a realist around here. I mean, let's be real here. Literally.
Yeah.
So, we're going to wrap it up. Sharks win. I almost said lose. Sharks win 4-0 over Montreal Canadiens. They play tomorrow.
Stalock shutout.
Vancouver. You're going to see Nemo back in nets. I mean, because after all, come on. McClellan playing Stalock 2 nights in a row.
Yeah. But let's see who gets called up between now and tomorrow night from the Woo.
If there's going to be a call-up, it'll maybe be Tarasov.
I would be fine with that. No matter what, we cannot start John Scott 2 games in a row. Thank you very much. Good night.
Well, that's the catch with all the moves, is that you essentially put John Scott into an everyday fourth-liner position.
Dude, I can literally picture like Todd McClellan, having like little icons, little jersey, like little pieces of paper of jerseys, outlines of jerseys with names and numbers on the back that he's got on a magnet board. And he's moving them around. He's like, okay, Shepard 15 no longer, 81 no longer, 21, okay, we'll bring that over. And then he's lining it, okay, that line's good. And then he gets down to the bottom line and he goes, he he's putting on Tierney. Okay, yeah, definitely Tierney in the center. Okay, I got Goodrow. And wait, what? Scott is the only one left? Seriously? Like, that's all I have? Are you kidding me? That's what I picture. He's like, oh,
Right.
shit. And there was a lot of people saying that they thought they were going to dress 7D tonight. Or have Hannon out there with Irwin and put Burns at forward. So, which wouldn't have.
We wish on Burns.
Well, like I said, Wilson would never allow that. But even though it's coach's decision, but no, he's never going to allow that. So, what have you? We move on.
One thing, and were you a big Monty Python fan?
Small pieces. Huge John Cleese fan. Like Faulty Towers is one of the funniest things ever done, but not a big Monty Python guy.
And maybe I might not be getting my accuracy on which show this was. Apparently, Eric Idle is the first cousin, once removed, of Ben Smith. And he tweeted a picture out.
I'm waiting for
his Twitter.
I'm waiting for the little stinger, the little music stinger, where the little star goes by and says, "The more you know."
Dun, 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 dun. No, but he tweeted out a picture on January 29th with my first cousin, once removed, Ben A. Smith, 12 of the Blackhawks. Well, of course, that is with the Sharks at Staples Center, which is very interesting. And this is a kid who grew up in North Carolina. So, one little tidbit to have you fall asleep to us on.
So I was going to say, people weren't bored by now.
We will probably be back tomorrow night. Maybe we'll be up to full strength. We might have an extra attacker in Gentry. I'm considering going down to Stanley's for the coolest game of the month. That's going to be there tomorrow night. We shall see. If I do, I'll bring the computer and we will do this show.
Hold on. Wait, what? It says, I've heard rumblings it's going to be Tierney called up. How's that possible? Tierney played tonight.
Right, I was going to say Tierney already came up, so Tierney played tonight, so maybe that's it. It could be a I don't know. Like it's like Tarasov. I don't know who else you could bring up. Who else is Worcester have anyways? So
it's going to be somebody. So hold on, wait a minute. And so our last tweet of the night. Great Sharks talk. You guys should turn this into a podcast. Just a thought. Well, this kind of is the podcast. It's basically we just do it as a video thing, and instead of like I get what you're saying, and that could be cool. But since we do them live, as you can tell from our staggering production value,
right?
Because we do them live, it's just kind of easier to do it this way, where you can just look at the YouTube channel, whether it's Chris's or Puck Guys, and that is something that we need to get our shit together, is where we do it the same thing every time, so you can go back and look at. Yeah, I mean, you can always go onto pucknology.net and look for the past Pucknology After Darks that we've done. I do think it would be cool to do a podcast thing, but we like to do it live in the moment. You might get a rant out of us, so do us a favor, subscribe down there. Yeah, a little bit, and tweet us questions, hashtag Pucknology After Dark, at PuckGuy14, at ChrisJWS, at AJ_Strong, and I'm always up for a good back and forth, especially if memes are involved, as you can tell.
Oh, yes. So with that, we bring you to a close. For AJ Strong, for Chris JWS, for Gentry Alexander, this is PuckGuy14 saying keep it real, keep it fresh, keep it real fresh, and let's keep the streak going.
Peace the puck out.
As Chris would say. Good night, guys and gals.